Hello, and once again, welcome to Author in the Headlights. I've got the amazing Jennifer Sage here, who is a paranormal romance author. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you very much, Jason.
And tell me, why paranormal romance? What do you like about writing paranormal romance?
I suppose I really like that I can create up whatever I want with that. You know, there's no rules. I can make whatever worlds I wish, and yeah, I would say that's why.
And what got you into writing?
I've always written. I've got this huge chest near my bed that has like work from when I was in even like first grade, second grade. So yeah, they're not grand stories or anything. They're kind of picture books, but.
So you've been writing paranormal romance
No. Although I did have a monster book that had like all these different monsters in it, so maybe I think that was like second grade.
Do you have any authors that inspire you, that you've read a lot of their work and it has kind of led you to write as you do?
I would say Karen Moaning and J.R. Ward, 100%, are my two idols of all time.
Why is that?
Just the stories they write. They're both on the paranormal and fantasy romance realm. Both very different, kind of, but their stories are very similar. Like Karen Moaning would be kind of my first series. Immortal Dreams and Immortal Bound would be more along those lines for her, and then J.R. Ward would be my idol for the Guardian series.
And has it always been books that you've written, or have you written short stories as well?
No, I write poetry. Yeah, my journal is in the form of a poem, and sometimes I post a little bit of erotic poetry, but I keep most of that to myself.
So you've been writing then, or publishing, I should say, for how long?
My first published book, I was done with my first book in 2010. It wasn't published till 11. Because I was working with a publisher for about a year until my second book in that series was done, and then I broke off from them and just published myself. So 2011.
Very cool. And do you like it so far?
I love it. Yeah.
And what kind of response have you been getting from your fans?
Now that I've actively been seeking them, I'm getting really good responses. You know, everybody, I took kind of everything off the market for a while, and yeah, the response has been really good since I've been back out there. So
I think that's something important, especially with today's independent authors, is being able to reach out there and actually meet the fans, which is something I think a lot of traditional authors don't have that chance to unless something is set up with the publisher themselves. So, and I see you always have a lot of activity going on your Facebook pages and Twitter and everything else.
They're fun, you know. I love my fans. They're awesome. They keep me entertained.
If there was somebody who had never heard of Jennifer Sage, what do you think you'd recommend that they read first?
All right. Well, if they like the fantasy element, like the fae, the elves, and of course, there's always the sexual erotic element too. It's all romance, but if they like that type of element, I'd say start with Immortal Dreams. And if they're more into like the vampires and angels, and not that there's either in this book, but you'd have to read it, I would say go with Kelter. So
one thing with romance authors that I've noticed, or with some of them, is, and I'm talking more traditional romance authors, but I've noticed that a lot of them seem to have sort of a formula to how they write some of their books. You know, you've got a little bit of the storyline coming, then you have a little bit of the romance and the bedroom scenes and everything else, but there seems to almost be a pattern. But is there a pattern that you follow when you're writing your books, or is it really just off the cuff, you know, you're kind of going with what feels right?
Yeah, absolutely not. I don't have any kind of pattern. And I say that because people ask me that a lot. They ask if I do, you know, outlines, or I have a pretty good idea of like what my beginning and end is going to be, and most of the middle. I have no idea. Like I have a general idea what the story is about and some of the conflict that happens, but my characters, and a lot of times the side characters, tend to take on a real life of their own, and they change my entire concept of what it started out to be. That happened with Immortal Dreams with my secondary character Emil, who got her own book, which is book 2, Immortal Bound, and it happened also in Kelter with Dante and Ileana. These secondary characters tend to take on these whole new lives that I didn't intend for them, and they get.
It's funny how they do that. You're like the words are flowing out of your hands, and you're like, where did this come from?
Right, exactly. It's like them like telling me what to write about, and I don't think, none of my 3 books have I ever set out and said this is what it's going to start and this is how it's going to end, and this is the people that will be involved, and no, it never happens that way.
Do you find you're as surprised as some of your fans by how things
turn out? I think so. Yeah, I finished writing and I'm like, how the hell did all that happen? In fact, my character Emile, she was actually the reason why traditional publishers wouldn't take me, because they said that in romance in that genre you couldn't have these big secondary characters, and they wanted me to tone her down. And I said, well, no, she for one might come out of the books and kick my ass. I'm not toning her down, and then for 2, I'm done with her 2nd book. Why would I do that? So yeah, that was like the reason why I didn't fit into their categories. But I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Good. Is there a particular character you feel like you identify with?
I think that all of my female characters have some of me in them. And I can only say that because people that know me very well that have read my books are like, oh my God, that's so you. A little bit in all of them. So we write from what we know, right?
Okay, so we all have a previous life, job that we do before we were an author. So is there a job that you did in the past or that you currently are doing?
There is, but that is top secret. I can't tell you what that is. I can tell you it's in the financial industry, but more than that, I'm not at liberty. Yeah.
Well, as we were joking before, your job is to turn your people on. My job is to kill people. So, it's...
Right. I think that maybe it would be, if I was killing people, a little bit better.
No, because then you end up losing fans because you're just, you're killing people off. It's just...
as an author, I kind of enjoy killing some people off. I do have deaths in my romance, because I have kind of...
You get an angry email that says, how dare you kill this person, So. I can't believe you killed them all.
No, I don't get any of those, because all the people that I kill, they deserve it. Actually, most people are cheering. My authors, or my authors, some of them are authors. My readers are all very happy when I kill those people. They've done very bad things in the worlds that I write.
So the paranormal aspect, is it vampires, werewolves? I mean...
The paranormal aspect for me, and this is one thing that I really have kind of issues with. Like, paranormal, people think of like ghosts, or, it automatically goes into this Twilight kind of era. There's not really, there should be a supernatural. There's some other subgenres of paranormal, because people are, some people that don't read paranormal at all, like, what do you write about, ghosts? Like, no, I don't write about ghosts. But my paranormals, I have everything from like angels to demons in the Guardian Archive series. The Guardians, without giving too much away, are kind of a cross between vampires and angels. They're neither, but they're kind of have interests of both in mind. But they're nothing like your Hollywood vampire, your Twilight vampire, or anything like that. So that would be my paranormal. The other books are fantasy, so there's everything from gods to fae to mermen to dragons to, there's all of those fantasy subsets that go on in those first 2 books.
So where do you hope to see your writing career go, say in the next 5 to 10 years?
5-year plan is that I get to do this full time. I'm actually actively seeking somewhere that I can kind of combine my love for writing and my desire to do that full time in one spot, even if it's not writing my books, a journalist type position.
Magazines.
Something, yeah, where I can make a living doing what I love and what I'm good at, you know. So
How many books are you currently working on right now?
I've put everything aside except two. The third book in the Immortal Dream series is about halfway done, and then Dante, which is the second book in the Guardian Archives, is about the same.
I'm going to have a few links to your books right down here below
Yay.
us. Is there what books will your fans be able to see down below
You'll be
there?
able to see Immortal Dreams and Immortal Bound, which is the first two books in that series, and then Kelter, which is book number 1 in the Guardian Archives. They're all available.
And I'll also have a link to your website as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Is there anything you'd like to say to your fans before we sign off?
Just thank you, and you guys rock, and you make me feel so much love all the time, and I love you so much for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on Author in the
Thank you
Headlights.
so much.